Every single day, you wake up, check the time, manage your day based on hours, minutes, and seconds, check your bank balance, use your phone number, calculate your expenses, and so much more. They're all based on numbers, right? What if all that was taken away? What then? Picture that world. It's different, it's challenging, and yes, it's complicated. But it's also an interesting way to understand our everyday existence. In a world without numbers, there are no measurements, no time, no prices. Just for a moment, imagine your day-to-day life. Now ask yourself, how would I navigate my day without numbers? Difficult to envision, isn't it? From the crack of dawn to the dead of night, every moment of our lives is underpinned by numbers. They're so deeply woven into the fabric of our existence that we often take them for granted. But what if they didn't exist? Have you ever given thought to how numbers govern our lives? They're omnipresent in every sector, every aspect, every second of our existence. Today's question is not just philosophical, but also gives us a different perspective to appreciate something we often overlook. So, are you ready to take a leap of imagination with us as we delve into this wondering world of no numbers? Let's get started. In this world without numbers, how would we measure time? Waking up, working, eating, sleeping. Can you imagine managing these without a clock? Life, as it seems, would become a chaotic march of events. But could we adapt? Perhaps by using natural cues like the rising and setting of the sun. But then, what about precise moments? What about appointments? With no notion of minutes and seconds, we'd have a hard time organizing our lives. And here's another realm of thought: economies, finance, and transactions. Imagine going to buy your favorite coffee and finding that there's no price tag because, well, there's no concept of numbers. Without a universal language of price, how does trade even function? Barter, you may say. But could we really assign value to a car in terms of chickens or lamps? In a very real sense, numbers also open the gateways to advancement and discovery. They're the foundation of striking, far-reaching areas like space exploration. Imagine trying to reach the moon without understanding the distance, managing the fuel, or even simply counting down the launch. And what about political systems? With no voting count, how would we choose leaders? Or athletics? How do athletes measure their performance without timings, weights, or distances? Or scientists measuring carbon emissions, meteorologists predicting the weather? The implications are endless. Most importantly, think about healthcare and medicine. With no way of quantifying anything, medical procedures would be impossible. No blood pressure or sugar level readings, no drug dosages, no operation timings. Numbers indeed save lives. But what about the flip side of the coin? Could a world without numbers also mean a world with fewer differences? After all, there would be no stark numeric representation of economic inequality, no crime rates or corruption indices. As you can see, the absence of numbers would fundamentally upset the structure of our world, robbing it of many conveniences, revving some activities while slowing others, and perhaps even changing the very nature of what it means to be human. This exploration is not about painting a dystopia or suggesting that numbers are perfect. Every tool comes with its own set of pros and cons, and numbers are no exception. They simplify yet complicate, quantify yet sometimes abstract, create order, and yet often divide. Having pondered over the consequences, let's now proceed to explore how this numberless world would impact various aspects of our lives. Specifically, let's look at communication, trade, business, and the field of healthcare. Communication, to begin with, could get incredibly tricky. From remembering phone numbers to specifying quantities, numbers aid us in articulating messages that are crisp and clear. The absence of numbers could complicate this fundamental task, leading to ambiguity and misinterpretations. Moving on to trade. With the absence of numbers, barter systems could be the only viable option for the exchange of goods and services. However, setting non-numeric values to items could become a daunting challenge, forming a chaotic and unstable trading economy. Imagine running a business without numbers. Budgeting, costing, pricing, profit, and loss statements. All of these crucial facets of a business would crumble. Even simple tasks like staff scheduling or tracking inventory would be difficult. But perhaps the most serious effects could be seen in healthcare. From measuring vital signs to optimizing dosages, surgeons calculating where to cut, all the way to the research for new drugs and treatments, numbers are critical. Without the ability to quantify, the very essence and functionality of this noble sector could be gravely dangerous, setting a substantial risk to human lives. One might argue that a world without numbers could possibly lead to a reduction in certain crimes. For instance, without numbers, digital crimes where hackers steal sensitive numerical information would be non-existent. Or perhaps, gambling, which leans heavily on probability and numbers, wouldn't take form in the first place. However, it's important to remember that these potential advantages would come with a heavy price of placing severe restrictions and limitations on numerous fundamental sectors of human society. The world as we know it could change drastically, and not necessarily for the better. As we near the end of this fascinating journey, let's take a moment to reflect. We've traveled together through this hypothetical world, exploring the implications and impacts, and got a fresh appreciation for the role of numbers in our lives. From timekeeping to trade, business operations to healthcare, and to an extent, even our communication, number has proven to be an irreplaceable tool. Our world without numbers experiment has indeed been a wild ride. But remember, these thought experiments are not just about the conclusion, but more about the journey, the curiosity, and the wonder they spark. They offer us extraordinary lenses to not just appreciate the basic constructs of our society, but also to question, reflect, and grow. As much as it is confusing to imagine a world without numbers, it's equally exciting to recognize the quiet, relentless role they play in our day-to-day lives. Despite their imperfections, numbers are essential, creating order in the chaos, bringing method to the madness. Remember, numbers are everywhere, an unseen force shaping the world with an abstract and yet very real impact. Until we meet again on another journey, keep wondering, keep exploring, and above all, appreciate the numbers in your life.